What's up, you guys, and welcome to another episode of The Variety Views. I'm your host, The Variety Vendor. Now, being that Money in the Bank is a little over a week away, I thought about, how would I book this show? And the reason why I chose to fantasy book the card now is because I don't really know what's going to happen in the following episodes of Raw and SmackDown, and I don't really want to be like handcuffed because there are a few ideas that I want to put out there that I think are very, very interesting, and maybe in the next episodes of Raw and SmackDown, everything that I will say right now would get derailed. So I chose this card right now to go off of. Now, the entire card hasn't really been shaped. We only have 4 matches so far. The 2 Money in the Bank ladder matches, Cody Rhodes and Dominik, Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. That's it. So here's how I would book Money in the Bank 2023. All right, so we start off right away with the women's Money in the Bank. I would have had it like later on in the card, but at the same time, you got 2 matches and you got to really spread them out. You got 2 marquee matches and you got to spread them out. The 2, Money in the Bank ladder matches. So I would start off with the women's Money in the Bank: Bayley versus Shirai versus Becky Lynch versus Zoey Stark versus Zelena Vega versus yet to be announced. Maybe they'll announce who is going to be a part of this match on Raw or on SmackDown. But who I would pick to be a part of this Money in the Bank is simple. Trish Stratus. I think she would be interesting to be a part of this, and she would add a little bit of star power to this match. And also, not just have her a part of this, but I would have her win. Have her win the Money in the Bank, because I think that the briefcase fits way better on a heel than a babyface. The idea of cashing in abruptly, I think it's a heel move, and it works very well for a heel than a babyface. So I would have Trish be the one to win the briefcase. Zoey Stark does all the work throughout the match. She does all the work. Trish, hides, tries to get away many a time. She would get caught by a lot of the baby faces, in Becky Lynch, in Zelena Vega, in even Io Shirai. I do consider her being like a pseudo babyface and really beat down Trish. But Trish always finds a way to get away. And Zoey Stark does all, it's pretty much a showcase for Zoey Stark. But at the end, as Zoey's about to go up the ladder and get the briefcase, and Trish is like, you're doing a good job. Hey, let me get the briefcase. And Zoey, she lets Trish go up top and get the briefcase. And Trish is your new Miss Money in the Bank. So, after that, and the reason, here's the reason why I had, Trish Stratus, win the briefcase also. I could have, going into this, before I even, started recording, I was thinking, like, maybe it is a good idea to give it to Io Shirai and let her cash in advance. But then again, I was like, Io needs a feud first. Really prove herself as a singles competitor, because she has been a tag team wrestler for a while, ever since going up to the main roster. And yeah, she had a great match at Backlash, but at the same time, she hasn't had a feud. I would have Io feud with Bayley after this, after Money in the Bank, and really let Bayley turn on Io. You could have Bayley turn on Io, or Io turn on Bayley, and really have this kind of jealousy going on with Bayley, where she's like, Io, you're put into these kinds of matches, and you always shit the bed. Io, you don't deserve this. You should be listening to your leader. I'm the one that brought you to the main roster. So Io, so they start feuding, and that could be a good program going into SummerSlam. Trish could continue her feud with Becky Lynch, after this. And of course, Becky Lynch calls an old friend in Lita to help her out, even the odds, against Zoey Stark and Trish Stratus. Lita turns on Becky because Lita sees Trish as a closer friend than Becky. She's like, hey, no, I'm totally siding with Trish. And so, you got Becky now going through the three other women, the three other heels, Lita and Trish. So, Lita and Trish and Zoey. So, yeah, and it would be too soon for Zoey. Zoey would get the rub by beating Becky Lynch. Maybe that could be a good showcase match for Becky at SummerSlam. I think Zoey Stark versus Becky Lynch could be a strong match. Trish and Lita can go for the tag titles, against Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. That's a marquee match for SummerSlam. So, all the women have a lot of things going for them, except for Zelena Vega. But Zelena Vega can have a match with Asuka. She can feud with Asuka. So there you go with that. After that, I would have Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor for the World Heavyweight Championship. And there is a reason why I put this match so high up on the card. And the reason for that is because there is a story going on in this show, and you'll find out later on what happens. Why I put it so high. So the match is going fine. They go back and forth 15 minutes. Seth Rollins hits the curb stomp. Balor kicks out. Seth is beside himself. He's like, oh, Balor, I need more than this. They're going to the 20-minute mark. Rollins hits a pedigree. Balor kicks out. What am I going to do? Rollins goes for like the second rope stomp. It's like 25 minutes now. Or like 23 minutes. Hits the curb stomp from the second rope. Balor rolls out of the ring. Rollins is like, damn it, Balor got away yet again. So then Rollins has a mean look on his face. He's like, yeah, I think this is what I got to do. He's thinking about it. He's pacing back and forth. He's like, and then he starts slapping himself, and that's when he does it. The power bomb to the barricade on Balor. Once Balor goes down, clutching his arm, and Rollins has a mean look on his face. The referee's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" Rollins pushes the referee and goes for it again. Power bomb to the barricade. Balor is almost knocked out. He cannot move. The ref is pleading with Rollins to stop, to go back in the ring, take the count out, win. He can still walk out as champion. Rollins goes back to Balor and is like, "Oh, okay, all right, I hear you, ref, but no, you gotta, they're singing my song. I gotta give the people what they want." Goes to Balor, hits the powerbomb one more time onto the barricade. Ref stops it. He stops it. Balor cannot defend himself. 3 powerbombs to the barricade, and backstage personnel comes out. They come out, and the medical the medical team comes out. They stretcher Balor to the back. Seth Rollins gets into the ring, holds on to his championship. He's like, "Nobody's gonna take my title. Nobody." Looks at the fans. Maybe the fans would cheer him on. If they cheer him on, he just, goes on being the maestro. If not, starts jaw-jacking to the fans. If they're booing him, he would continue to jaw-jack to the fans. And, because it's one of those things where you can't predict how the fans are going to react. It's going to be in London. Will they be like, diehard fans where they're into like what Seth Rollins is doing? They know it's like, oh yeah, it's a story, when it was cool, it was a cool moment. Or will they completely turn on Rollins? Who knows? So after that, we got Bianca Belair versus Charlotte versus Asuka. Before that, Finn Balor is being stretchered to the back. They're being taken to the ambulance. We see in a gym somewhere. Dominik Mysterio, or like, somewhere backstage. Dominik Mysterio and Rhea Ripley are they're training, all right? Dominik is training for his match against Cody Rhodes, and what happens then is that somebody comes in, one of the backstage personnel, comes in and goes to, Rhea and Dominik, and he's like, Finn Balor has just been stretchered, and they're like, what happened? There's like, he's been stretchered, and he's injured. They're taking him to a hospital. They run to the ambulance. Like, what happened? And they see him. Somebody tells him like what happened and everything. And Rhea Ripley's like, you got this, Dom. Go get ready for your match against Cody Rhodes. I'm gonna accompany Finn to the hospital. Dominik is like, yeah, but Rhea, mommy, there's nothing for us to do for him. He's already being taken care of. Like, why should we go? Rhea's like, he's our friend, Dom. What are you thinking? What are you thinking? If it was you, then Balor would be there for you. And Dominik is like, yeah, I understand that, but I got a match. I got a match with Cody. You got to be there for me. Rhea's like, nah, you got this, Dom. You got this. Dominik is like, come on, please. And he starts, telling Rhea, like, hey, you got to be in my corner. You don't go with Finn. And she shakes her head, in disappointment, and goes. Gets onto the ambulance, and the ambulance drives off. And Dominik goes, mommy, and he's like, like that. So then after that, one of the refs comes, he goes over to Dominik, and they're like, your match is next. We're gonna have the match with Cody Rhodes. And Dominik is like, damn it. We hear Dominik's theme hit, and he walks to the ring. Gets in the ring, not sure of himself. He doesn't have backup. And then we hear Cody's theme. Cody Rhodes comes out. Cody comes out, gets into the ring, and Dominik, rushes Cody, attacks Cody. Before even Cody takes off his jacket, the bell rings. Dominik, hits a couple of moves and beats down Cody. The ref pulls him off, because, he's beating Cody in the corner. And then that's when Cody capitalizes, kicks Dominik in the gut, and then hits the Cody cutter, then the crossroads, 1, 2, 3. Short, simple match. Cody gets the win, and he celebrates with the fans. No sign of Brock Lesnar. No, I would save that. I would save that for the next episode of Raw, the next night. So, Cody celebrates with the fans. We hear the theme song. Dominik is dejected, goes to the back, and as he's going to the back, he's, one of the backstage interviewers tries to interview him, and Dominik, is like, mommy should have been there for me. I don't know. And he just walks to the back. Then we have the Money in the Bank ladder match, and Logan Paul is added to the Money in the Bank ladder match. Also, who I would have be added to the Money in the Bank ladder match, along with Shinsuke Nakamura, Ricochet, LA Knight, Damian Priest, Butch, and Santos Escobar, I would add Bronson Reed. I would add Bronson Reed into this match. And basically, in the next episode of Raw, because Bronson Reed is supposed to face Shinsuke Nakamura, I would then add the caveat, if Bronson Reed beats Nakamura, then he gets to be added into the ladder match. So that happens. Also, Logan Paul has a match on Raw for the first time ever on Raw against Ricochet. They have a fun match, and Logan Paul ends up winning, cheating, of course, but he ends up winning. Now, in the Money in the Bank ladder match itself, Logan Paul takes himself out very early in the match, like the first 5 minutes of the match. There's a lot of crazy spots, but then Logan Paul sets up a ladder and does a crazy, maybe a swanton bomb off the top, and onto, or like a splash or something like that, onto Ricochet and Butch. So Ricochet and Butch are taken out. Then Bronson Reed gets taken out, by LA Knight and Nakamura and Santos Escobar. They throw him onto the announcer's table. He gets completely taken out. Then, so it's now down to Santos, LA Knight, Damien Priest, and Shinsuke Nakamura. And it becomes like a pseudo elimination style where everybody tries to take out everybody. So Nakamura gets taken out next, gets thrown into a ladder. Then Santos Escobar does a crazy move off the top, but LA Knight gets out of the way, and Santos crashes and burns into the other announcer's table. So now it's down to LA Knight and Damien Priest. They fight. Damien Priest is selling the leg because he went through, ladders and crazy moves. LA Knight is about to get the briefcase, but then Damien Priest, pulls him down and hits the choke slam from hell. And Damien slowly goes up top, and he gets the briefcase. And pulls it down, and he wins. He's your new Mr. Money in the Bank. So then Damien Priest is celebrating with the briefcase. He's celebrating with the briefcase and everything. And then Seth Rollins' theme hits. And he slowly walks to the ring. He's got the microphone. And he goes, "Congratulations, you're Mr. Money in the Bank. Hey, I know what it's like being Mr. Money in the Bank. I know the pressure that goes with it. I know everything that you got to do to make sure that when you cash in, you become the next world champion." Now, that briefcase is eligible for any championship that you want, but I will not take that risk. I will not take that risk of in any shape or form for you to even consider cashing in on my World Heavyweight Championship. And so Priest, I'm going to ask you this. I'm going to ask you nicely. I would like for you to cash in right now. This is something that we've never seen before, and this is the reason why I wanted to do this booking video, is because I really wanted to do something different. I really wanted to see something different. We've never seen this before. We've always seen, cash-ins, in advance, or somebody cashes in on a prone opponent. We've never seen the champion have the advantage here. So Seth Rollins comes out and he goes, "Priest, I want you to cash in right now." Priest is like, "Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? Seth, I just had a crazy match, and yeah, I'm Mr. Money in the Bank, but I'm not stupid. I'm not gonna cash in right now. No, for that you're gonna have to wait. So take it easy, tranquilo, Seth, and get out of my way." Seth goes, "I kind of figured that you would say something like that. I knew that you there was a bit of doubt in my mind where I was like, you might do the right thing, but Damien, are you scared? Are you scared to go up against me for the world champion? I've beaten you before. So do you think that you can't beat me right now? Are you going to throw it all away, Damien? Are you going to throw away having the greatest night of your life, being Mr. Money in the Bank, and winning the World Heavyweight Championship all in one night? Come on, Damien. You know you want to. You know you want this championship. You know you want to be at the top of the food chain, Damien. Damien goes, you're not going to get to me, Seth. This is good enough for me tonight. I'll win that world championship because, unlike most people, I can be patient. I can be patient. When you least expect it, I will be world heavyweight champion. And Seth goes, oh, starts laughing. All right, Damien. All right. Maybe this will change your mind. Points at the Titantron. He goes, if you don't give me what I want, right here, look at the Titantron and see what will happen. There's a shot in the parking lot, and we see the ambulance. The ambulance show up. Out of the driver's side, a masked man comes out, and he opens the back of the ambulance, pulls out Finn Balor. He pulls out Finn Balor, and we see Rhea Ripley tied up in the back. And Finn Balor is in agony. And the masked man beats down Finn, throws him into the anvil cases. And Damien is like, what are you doing? Seth is like, hey, all of that can stop. The beatdown can stop if you would just cash in. Come on, Damien, cash in right now. The masked man then pulls Finn's arm into the door frame of the ambulance, and he's about to shut the door onto Finn's arm. And Damien goes, okay, all right. Stop. Seth goes, you better cash in or he ends Finn's career right now, and his blood will be on your hands. Damien goes, all right. I'll cash in right now. Hands over the briefcase to the referee, and Seth goes, I knew you would see it my way. The bell rings. Damien's still he's still, conflicted. He looks at the Titantron. He's aggravated. He's pissed off. He keeps mugging at the Titantron, and we see the masked man just shuts the door onto Finn's arm. And Finn starts screaming, and then Damien is pissed off. He's like, no! Looks back at Seth, and he's enraged, and goes at Seth. Seth, gets out of the way, kicks Damian Priest's leg, capitalizes on Priest's injury. Priest fights back. It goes back and forth for a little bit, with Priest, beating down Seth. He beats down Seth, and a couple of clotheslines, and then he's about to go for the choke slam, but his leg gives out, and Seth capitalizes, clips the leg, goes for the stomp. 1, 2. Damien kicks out. A little bit more, of fighting back from Damian Priest. He goes for the Razor's Edge, and then we see the masked man pulling out Finn Balor into the entranceway. Damien lets go of Seth, because of not only because of Seth's weight onto Damien's leg, but also because of seeing his friend, being attacked. Seth capitalizes on that, clips the leg again, stomp, second stomp, super stomp. 1, 2, 3. Damian Priest's dream has been shattered. His opportunity is gone, and Seth retains the championship. He got rid of any more threats to his championship, and he walks off with the masked man. And later on, it is revealed, maybe on the next episode of Raw, the Masked Man is revealed to be JD McDonough. And the reason for that is because I don't want the Judgment Day to break up. I would rather them turn face. I think there is potential with Damian Priest and Finn Balor turning face together. And I think it's a great story. Damian Priest now can work from underneath. Now he has a clear goal that we can follow with Damian Priest going for the World Heavyweight Championship. He's now a sympathetic babyface that you can really want to go for the championship and really get it. And Seth can play a great heel. And I think Seth, when he was the Monday Night Messiah, there was such untapped potential for him to be the top guy. And having JD McDonough being his underling, and all this time that we've seen JD McDonough talking with Judgment Day, being in Finn Balor's ear and having all these conversations backstage, all of that was gathering intel for Seth Rollins. All of that was trying to gain their trust until finally stabbing them in the back. And now we have a feud for JD McDonough going forward against Finn Balor, student versus teacher. And now also Seth has JD McDonough as his protege. There's so much story that can go with that. And this would build up for SummerSlam, where we would have Seth Rollins versus Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight Championship. And who should help Seth but Logan Paul? Logan Paul helps Seth Rollins at SummerSlam to retain his championship, I should say, against Damian Priest. And they would hug each other, they would celebrate. Now, The Vision, I can imagine this. The Vision is the name of the faction. Logan Paul, Seth Rollins, and JD McDonough. And now, JD McDonough has gotten the rub from big stars, a celebrity, the world champion, and a big feud. So, now you're building JD McDonough as being the next big thing, So, there's so much going for him. Seth Rollins can host even the Impulsive podcast, at times. He can show up with Logan Paul at red carpets and everything. He's got a movie coming up. So there's so much going for that. And I think it's so interesting for Seth Rollins to be the heel in this. There's so much potential. There's a lot going for him. And I feel like on the Raw side, there isn't that top heel. And they need that. I feel like, Gunther can be that, but not just yet. Rollins can definitely be that. He can definitely play the top world champion heel. So, and then, at SummerSlam, that's when you have Finn Balor return in a big way and save Damian Priest from a beatdown. And now it's Judgment Day versus The Vision. And Dominik is like, he's still a heel, but he's the guy he's a chicken shit heel, but at the same time he's standing side by side with the Judgment Day because they are his friends. But at the same time, when the going gets tough and we have a maybe like a 6-man war games, with Judgment Day versus The Vision, that's when Dominik Mysterio does the chicken shit thing to do and run away. Or maybe you can have like a 6-man ladder match or something like that, and Dominik Mysterio runs away because he's like, hey, there's just, I can't go up against them. So there's a lot that you can do with that. I feel like there's definitely a lot that you can do with that. So my main point is Seth Rollins, GOATs, Damian Priest to cash in right then and there. It's something that we've never seen before. I think it would be interesting. Now, after that, after all that entire debacle, we see Dominik Mysterio, and this would be Seed's Planet. Dominik Mysterio walks in and he's like, what happened? What happened? Why is there, a crowd in the parking lot area? And one of the interviewers goes, Dominik, where have you been? Rhea Ripley was tied, and Finn Balor was attacked, and Damian Priest lost his Money in the Bank. Where were you? It was like, I was just getting a bite to eat. I didn't even know what was going on. I was, I was at a nearby McDonald's or whatever. I was just going. I was hungry. What should I do? And what do you want me to do and stuff like that. He goes over to Rhea and he's like, "Hey, mommy, what happened?" And he's just like so nonchalant, but at the same time, I think Dominik can pull that off. So after that, we got Imperium. I think Giovanni Vinci is injured, so I would have Gunther in here instead. Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser going up against Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens for the Tag Team Championship. They had a great match on Raw. Kevin Owens has great chemistry with Gunther, and I think having another match here, it would be great because Owens and Zayn can retain the tag titles, but then Gunther would cost them the tag titles the following episode of Raw, and then Zayn and Owens can spin off into feuding with Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. Gunther can have great matches with, he can have a great match with Kevin Owens, he can have a great match with Sami Zayn, and he can have a match with both of them in a triple threat match at SummerSlam. I think that would be wonderful. That would be wonderful for them. So yeah, that's pretty much it with that. Then as Zayn and Owens, they're celebrating with the tag titles. They walk to the back. As they're walking towards the entrance ramp, Jimmy Uso comes out. He's about to have a match. Jimmy Uso comes out. He kind of has, the kind of locks eyes with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and Zayn is like, "Hey man," it looks like that Zayn wants to help Jimmy, but Owens is like, "Hey, let's go," and he pulls Zayn away. Owens goes, "It's his fight. It's his fight, Sammy. It's his fight. We can leave him for that." Jimmy goes to the ring, does his whole entrance, and then out comes Solo Sakoa. That's the match that we have. Solo Sakoa versus Jimmy Uso. This is a test for all three brothers. If Jimmy wins, he does not get disowned by the Anoa'i family. He can be free from the bloodline, but he doesn't get disowned. Because if you remember, in 2020, during the feud between Jey Uso and Roman, the whole idea was that if Roman wins, then Jey has to fall in line. He has to, acknowledge Roman. Not just him, but also Jimmy. Both of them have to acknowledge Roman as the tribal chief. If they don't, they get disowned. So now, this is the story, that if Jimmy wins, he's free, and he doesn't get disowned. Solo Sikoa's test is that he should prove to Roman that, because up until this point, Solo's telling, Roman, like, "Hey, Jey, I don't think Jey has what it takes to be the next tribal chief. I'm the guy. I'm the guy that should be the next tribal chief. I'm the one that should be next in line, because Jey he's not willing to do what's necessary to hold that burden. I can." So Roman goes, "Okay, show me. You're going to face Jimmy." And now there's the test for Jey, and that is, he is the special guest referee for this match, and will he do the right thing? Will he prove Roman wrong? And we have the match. Jimmy and Solo go out there, and they have, maybe like 15 minutes of like back and forth and back and forth. But at the end, there's a miscalculation. Jey gets knocked out to the outside, and Paul Heyman gets on the apron with a steel chair, is about to hand it over to Solo. Jimmy pushes Solo onto the steel chair. Paul Heyman gets knocked off the apron. Jimmy super kicks Solo twice, goes up top, hits the Uso splash. Jey Uso's outside of the ring. He's knocked outside. Another referee runs to the ring and counts 1, 2, 3. Jimmy Uso wins, and he is still a part of the family. He's still part of the family tree, but he's free. Jey Uso slowly gets up, locks eyes with Jimmy, and as he's about to get into the ring, Solo is, rolls to the outside, and Paul Heyman is like, "What did you do? What did you do?" And he starts pointing at Solo, and he's like, I knew that you didn't have what it takes. Jey is the guy. Jey is the guy. You're not the guy. And starts, pointing at Solo, and then Solo pushes Paul Heyman onto Paul Heyman's ass, and Solo just walks off. He walks off to towards the entranceway. That's when Roman Reigns' theme hits. Comes out, and he looks at Solo, and then he tells him, "Follow me." Solo follows Roman to the ring. Roman gets into the ring, and he goes, "Congratulations. Congratulations, Jimmy. You're still part of the family." Now, yeah, I understand that you want a shot at this championship. And we've done that. You beating Solo, now you're the number 1 contender. And that's the stipulation going into this. If Jimmy beats Solo, then he gets a shot at the the WWE championship. Paul Heyman, then Roman Reigns goes, gets on the mic, he says all that, and then he says to Paul Heyman, "Wise man, can you wise up our friend right here?" Paul Heyman's like, "Yes, my tribal chief. The stipulation was that you would go, that if you beat Solo Sakoa, you would be number 1 contender for the WWE Championship. But under Roman Reigns' discretion. Whenever Roman Reigns wants it, he can choose the time and place for that match, for whenever that match would happen." And Roman goes, "So, what do you think, London? Do you want to see a WWE Championship match right now?" The fans might go crazy. Some of them might boo. And he's like, "Yeah, you know what? Let's go for it, Jimmy. Right now. Do you have what it takes? Are you going to prove me wrong? Hey, look at me. You got a shot at dethroning the tribal chief. You can be the next tribal chief. You can prove your brother's wrong. You can be the one that becomes the next tribal chief. So what do you say? Come on, Jimmy. Let's go for it." Jimmy, looks back at Jey and looks at his, his other brother in Solo. Then he looks back at Roman and he's like, "Let's go for this. Let's go for this, Oos." And Roman's like, "Great. Ref, ring the bell." And we get our announcement and everything. Roman is set to face Jimmy for the WWE Championship, completely unannounced. Now, the match happens. Jimmy versus Roman. The match goes for like 7-8 minutes. Couple of hope spots for Jimmy, where he rolls up Roman. And then Roman has, the ref gets knocked down. Yet again, we got another ref bump. Yes. But there's a reason for that. Roman starts barking orders at Solo. Starts barking orders at Solo. He goes, "Solo, get in the ring." And he wants Solo to hit the Samoan spike on Jimmy. Solo's conflicted. Should he do it? And Jey gets up, and then he grabs, he as Solo goes for the Samoan spike, Jey grabs Solo's hand. Solo looks back. It's like, "What are you doing?" Paul Heyman gets up and starts barking at both of them, and starts yelling at Solo, starts yelling at Jay. He slaps Jay. Solo pushes Paul. Roman starts yelling at Solo. What are you doing? You're going to listen to me. I'm your tribal chief. You're going to listen to me. Pushes Solo. Solo pushes Roman back. Roman gets, gets taken aback. He's like, what? Solo then walks off. He walks out. Walks out on Roman. Walks out on the bloodline. And then, Jay, looks at Roman and he points. Roman looks back, gets hit by a super kick from Jimmy. Roman rebounds from the ropes. Jimmy hits another super kick, and Roman is on his knees. Jimmy hits one more super kick. Roman is down. Jimmy goes up top, and Jay is like, "Come on!" He's like, he's at the edge of his seat. He's yelling and screaming. Jimmy hits the Uso splash. The referee gets into the ring. Jimmy pins Roman. 1, 2. Roman kicks out. But as he's kicking out, much like Clash of Champions 2020, Roman kicks out by low-blowing Jimmy away from the peripheral vision of the referee. The ref doesn't see it. Jimmy is clutching. Roman then grabs hold of Jimmy's neck and puts on the guillotine. And Jimmy is knocked out. Roman Reigns has retained the WWE Championship. Roman yells instructions to Jay to get into the ring with the championship. And, tells, Jay to put it around his waist. Jay reluctantly does so. Then he looks down at Jimmy, looks back at Jay, sees that Jay is almost in tears. And then he looks at him, he's like, "Are you crying? Are you tearing up for that traitor? Is that what you're doing right now?" Tells Paul Heyman to get a steel chair. Paul Heyman brings over a steel chair, gives it to Roman, and then he hands it over to Jay. He's like, "Do it. Do it now." Jay looks over to Roman. He's like, "Hey, you better do it or you're going to get disowned. You will be disowned from the Anoa'i family." Jay is like, "Come on, man. Why you got to do this? Why you got to do this?" And Roman goes, "You better do it. You better do it." And, Jay looks down at Jimmy. He goes, "I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry." Jimmy looks up at Jay. He's like, "No, don't do it. Don't do it." Jay, veers back with the steel chair, but then throws it down. And he looks back at Roman. He's like, "I'm not going to do this. No, I'm not going to do this." And then he hugs Jimmy. Roman is in the corner, grabs the steel chair and smashes it across Jay's back. And he starts wailing at Jay. He starts wailing it at Jay, and then Jimmy low blows Roman from behind. Roman goes down, then Jimmy helps Jay up. Jimmy goes to the outside, gets another steel chair, and both Usos starts wailing at Roman. They start wailing at Roman with a steel chair. Paul Heyman runs to the back, and then try to bring out Solo. Solo's like, "Nah, man. Tribal chief, he dug his own grave. He gets in his car and drives off. The Usos are back. They start hugging, and they stand tall. Roman Reigns has lost the bloodline. Now, moving forward, Paul Heyman, he convinces Adam Pearce to make the match for SummerSlam Bloodline Fatal 4-Way. Roman Reigns versus Solo Sakoa versus Jimmy Uso versus Jey Uso. The winner becomes the Tribal Chief, becomes the WWE Champion. Paul Heyman is the one. He's the one that orchestrated that match. And the reason for that, and he tells Roman goes like, why would you do that? Why would you put me in that situation, Paul? Do you want to be thrown out? Do you want me to take you out, Paul? Paul Heyman goes, my Tribal Chief, I do have a plan. It starts whispering in Roman Reigns' ear, and Roman goes, oh, I understand. Oh, okay. That's why they call you the wise man. Good job. So leading up to SummerSlam, the reason why the Fatal 4-Way was made is because Roman wanted to test the brothers and see how close are they? Are they close? And maybe in the next episode of SmackDown, you can have Solo Sakoa reunite with his brothers, and they can be a part of a 6-man tag, and against Austin Theory and Pretty Deadly. They beat Austin Theory and Pretty Deadly, and after the match, Paul Heyman, he's applauding that, and he's like, so you're gonna have an opportunity, and we can see how close are you, at SummerSlam, when the championship and the Tribal Chief's position is on the line. How close are you? I got one question for you, Usos. Who can you trust? And that's the theme going into SummerSlam. Who can you trust? Going into the biggest match in all three men's career. Roman Reigns versus Solo Sakoa versus Jimmy Uso versus Jey Uso. Who will be the next Tribal Chief? And that is how I would book Money in the Bank and going forward. Now, what would you do with Cody Rhodes? Cody Rhodes has his third match with Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, of course, because that's what they're planning. The next night on Raw, right after Money in the Bank, Brock Lesnar makes his return and beats down Cody Rhodes. They have their third and final match at SummerSlam. And after Cody beats Brock Lesnar for, the second time, then he can go back to feuding with Roman Reigns for the WWE Championship. And that can be the next feud, going after, right after SummerSlam. I think that'd be tremendous. So those are my thoughts. Went a little bit out there with the fantasy booking. Let me know what you thought about this in the comment section below. Like this video, share with your friends, share with everybody, and check out my next video. We talk about something else. Take care.